Greetings, book lovers. Welcome to the third of our videos promoting the MyBB Book Club Extra, the safe and welcoming space to explore and discuss Black books and the insights they bring us across a diverse range of themes. I'm Valentina, owner of My Book Basket, Birmingham's only physical Black book and gift shop. And I'm joined by Rose.
Hi.
And Simone.
Hi.
Two fellow book lovers to discuss Rose's choice of Maya Angelou's book, Mum and Me and Mum. Rose.
The reason why I chose this book, to give you just a brief introduction, is Maya Angelou, and she's a prolific writer. She has written many books, about 30, I think. 7 of them are autobiographical. And this book is the 7th and last, written in 2013, just before her death. And it looks at the relationship between Maya and her mother. And the section that I'm about to play for you, it covers the announcement of Maya's pregnancy to her mother and all the emotions that come up with that. So here it is.
Well, you're more than 3 weeks pregnant. I said, yes, ma'am. It's 3 weeks before I have the baby. She said Daddy Clydell had misunderstood and told her on the telephone that I was 3 weeks pregnant and she'd better come home. I looked at her and could not think of a word to say. She said, all right now, baby, go run me a bath. In our family, for some unknown reason, we consider it an honor to run a bath, to put in bubbles and good sense for another person. So I ran the bath. Then after she got in, she called me and said, come and sit in here with me. I sat on a stool in the bathroom. Do you smoke? I said, yes, ma'am, but I don't have any. She said, well, what do you smoke? I said, Pall Malls. She said, all right, I smoke Lucky Strikes, but you can have one of mine. So I had a cigarette. And then she asked me, do you know who the father is? I said, yes, ma'am. It was only one time. She asked, do you love him? I said, no. She asked, does he love you? I said, no. She said, well, then that's that. We will not ruin 3 lives. We, you and I, and this family are going to have a wonderful baby. That's all there is to it. Thank you, baby. Go on. I left the bathroom, tears of relief bathing my face. She didn't hate me or cause me to hate myself. She gave me the same respect she had always shown. She cared for me and for my child. She talked to me. Mother stayed in the house for the 3 weeks, talking to me, telling family stories about babies and pregnancies and delivering babies. She recounted the night I was born. She described how long she had been in labor and how she stuffed her mouth with towels so no one would hear her cries. When the contractions began, I got my hospital suitcase, which she had packed, and knocked on her door. When I announced I was ready to go, she laughed and said, not yet, baby. You have a few hours. They will come slowly at first, and then they will get faster. Don't worry, I promise to get you to the hospital on time. She invited me into her bedroom and gave me a bath. She put me on her bed and shaved me in preparation for delivery. Vivian Baxter was, among other things, a registered nurse. In the 3 weeks she had been home, she had taken me twice to see Dr. Rubenstein, her doctor. He had calculated the delivery date. My mother had called him and left a message and took me to the hospital. When we arrived, we could see 2 nurses through the glass in the door. My mother said, now this large one is going to be very jovial and the little one is going to be sour as a lemon. I bet you 50 cents. The 2 women opened the door and the fat woman said, oh, welcome. We were waiting for her. Bring her in here. The little one said with a sour voice, we thought you'd be here sooner. It was just as if my mother had known them before. She told them she was a nurse. She told them the hospitals where she had worked. She took me into the delivery room. The contractions came faster, but the doctor didn't arrive. Mother called one of the nurses and said that I was already shaved, and then she washed me again. My mother got up on the delivery table with me and knelt. She put one of my legs against her shoulder and took both my hands. Then she told me filthy stories, jokes. She timed the punchlines with the contractions, and I would laugh. She encouraged me, that's right, baby, bear down, bear down. I bore down. And as the baby was coming out, she said, here he comes, and he has black hair. I wondered what color hair did she think he would have? The nurse washed him, and my mother said, look at this. We have a wonderful, handsome boy. Okay, baby, it's all right now. You can go to sleep. She kissed me and left. My stepdad later told me she was so wrung out when she got home, she looked as if she had had twins. I thought about my mother and knew she was amazing. She never made me feel as if I had brought scandal to the family. The baby had not been planned, and I would have to rethink my plans about education. But to Vivian Baxter, that was life being life. Having a baby while I was unmarried had not been wrong. It was simply slightly inconvenient. I found a job when my son was 2 months old. I went to mother and told her, Mother, I'm going to move. She asked me, you're going to leave my house? She was shocked that I would leave her fine home with all its amenities. I said, yes, I have found a job and a room with cooking privileges down the hall, and the landlady will be the babysitter. She looked at me half pityingly and half proud. She said, all right, you go. But remember this, when you cross my doorstep, you have already been raised. With what you have learned from your grandmother Henderson in Arkansas and what you have learned from me, you know the difference between right and wrong. Do right. Don't let anybody raise you from the way you have been raised. No, you will always have to make adaptations in love relationships, in friendship, in society, in work. But don't let anybody change your mind. And then remember this, you can always come home. I walked away and was back in my bedroom before I heard my own words echoing in my mind. I had called Lady Mother. I knew she had noticed, but we never ever mentioned the incident. I was aware that after the birth of my son and the decision to move and get a place for just the two of us, I thought of Vivian Baxter as my mother. On the odd occasion and out of habit, sometimes I called her Lady, but her treatment of me and her love for my baby earned her the right to be called Mother. On the day we moved from her house, Mother liberated me by letting me know that she was on my side. I realized that I had grown close to her and that she had liberated me. She liberated me from a society that would have had me think of myself as the lower of the low. She liberated me to life. And from that time to this time, I have taken life by the lapels and I have said, I'm with you, kid.
Wow. As you know, my book club extra has been talking about intergenerational connections between women. Rose, what was it that made you pick this this book?
Okay, so I picked the book because it spoke to me on a number of levels. The relationship between the women in it. Obviously, we heard about the mother and Maya Angelou, but there was also a grandmother as well. And that particular extract, it just reminded me of the women, the network of women that helped to raise me. My father was actually widowed and left with 6 children. And so there were older women that came in, and we had to call them various things, whether they were cousins or aunts or whatever. You know, it was the same. It was Miss Curlin, Aunt Curlin, cousin this, cousin that, whatever. And Maya Angelou has got the same kind of thing because she was, well, given to her grandmother at the age of 3. She didn't know her mother until when she was about 13, I think, lived with her mother. Well, she knew her, but she didn't live with her mother until the age of 13. And then obviously she's 17 in that extract. So that's how that book spoke to me. It spoke to me about the women in my life and the relationships, intergeneral relationships, and also to the social and cultural times. Maya's talking about 1945, but it could easily have been the 60s with the way that she's talking about being liberated. I mean, a lot of times when we think about women's liberation and so on, we think about the 60s and 70s. And so that's why that spoke to me.
I'm glad that you said those things, because I've heard this extract a few times and I just thought, well, this is a piece of history. There's that wonderful moment where in the bath, she offers this pregnant woman, a lucky strike. And, that is just amazing. And it's just so much of that. It was a different time. And it also, when you think of 1945 and you speak about the 60s, it is also that happened in the UK and it happened in America, where Black women had to work. There was no stay-at-home housewife. Well, I mean, obviously some were, but very often you had to suck it up and do what you needed to do. The language was different, the attitudes was different, and in that extract, Maya sounds quite harsh. It's all kind of matter of fact. And I certainly know of that. You just have to do attitudes from the great aunts of my youth. And so in that respect, I mean, it doesn't have some of the literary complexities of some of the other books I would choose to spend a lot of time in. But this is a good read. It's a nice read, and thank you for bringing it back to me, because yes, I have read it before, and thank you for bringing it.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree. I think for me, you obviously you mentioned that this is the last of a series of biographies that she had, and I know why the Cage Bird Sings, which almost everyone has heard of, right? That was amongst my first introduction to the world of Black literature as a young adult. So it kind of holds a special place for me. And I hadn't read Mum and Me and Mom, other than obviously the extract. So thanks, Rose, for reminding me of its existence. And I'll definitely have to get on and have a proper read. I mean, a book with this title, Mum and Me and Mom, obviously it would seem to be the perfect choice for an exploration of the intergenerational connections. And it did bring back for me some of those memories of in Cage Bird, of Angelou's vibrant depictions of the relationship that she had with both her mom and her grandmother. Some really lovely scenes, particularly of her grandma back in Arkansas. Both of these women were clearly powerful women who played a central role in who Maya herself was to become. I don't know if it's okay to just read. There's a little quote at the beginning of this book that I thought was quite useful to this discussion. And when Maya says, "Love heals, it heals and liberates." I use the word love, not meaning sentimentality, but a condition so strong that it may be that which holds the stars in their heavenly position, and that which causes the blood to flow orderly in our veins. And I think this was true of the passage. It's not sentimental as Simon was mentioning. It's definitely not sentimental. If anything, I think you use the words, matter of factness. It was that kind of stark matter of factness in the way that Vivian receives the news of her young daughter's pregnancy and supports her through to the birth of her child. This matter of factness, I found it's reflected back by Maya herself when 2 months later she shocks her mother with the news that she's ready to live independently with her son. And I thought that in both of those kind of pragmatic acts with the mother and the daughter, and the response and their responses to each other, within that, Maya Angelou, she reveals a kind of mutual thread of respect and love that begins to be woven between the two, so much so that by the end of that passage, she can begin to call her mother. So yeah, I mean, I kind of enjoyed the read. It made me want to get the book and finish, complete that process of where I began decades ago with "I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings."
Yeah, yeah. I think again, when I listen to it, and when I read it, it's a dialogue. It's simplistic. It's humorous, and I do like that of Maya Angelou. Sometimes when you listen to like the bit part with their mother and how she speaks, the authority in it, she's standing her ground as to what she has actually given to Maya, and for her not to forget it. You have been raised. So I love that quality about it. It's about motherhood, it's about womanhood, and I love that, and yeah, that's what I loved about the book.
Great. Well, thank you so much again for bringing it to us and to the attention of our viewers. I hope you've enjoyed our exchange of views on Maya Angelou's Mum and Me and Mom. And in the final of these video previews, the next time, we'll turn to a different genre of book, Iyanla Vanzant's Piece from Broken Pieces. If you've viewed this video, please take a few minutes to give us feedback on what you thought about the extract or the book if you've read it. And if you'd like to join our conversations in person or online, then you can sign up on the My Book Basket website, www.mybookbasket.com, or you can give us a ring on 07592 345 276. So watch out for our final video coming soon, and also for the news about a kind of discounted option for you. So do pay attention and watch out for our final video in this series. Thanks for listening. See you next time.
Bye guys. Bye.